Alright, so the RLCS Raleigh Major is starting up this Thursday, I believe. So we're here to do our, ever so important RLCS predictions. Alright, let's start off with our first matchup here. Karmine versus Twisted Minds. Karmine Corp, obviously, they won the last Major. I'm gonna have them winning this one. I'm gonna say 3-1 against Twisted Minds. Twisted Minds, they had a slightly worse split than last time, but still, I imagine they're gonna be pretty good, and I imagine the split is kind of boring for them anyways. They're kind of just waiting to qualify for the major. Not to say that Mina is that easy, but I feel like they're probably a bit understimulated during this season. So I imagine they'll perform similarly to last major still. By the way, I made a pretty good, well, in comparison to my other videos, pretty good video about how every team qualified and kind of just giving you a preview of the majors. So if you want to watch that, link in the description. But yeah, NRG versus Gen G. Gen G are actually a really exciting team, I'm not gonna lie. This is a really annoying series for NRG to play. NA in general has improved a lot last split, so definitely not an easier one. Where am I gonna go with this one? I'm tempted to go with the Gen G win, but I feel like that's probably a step too far here, so I'm gonna go 3-2 for NRG. FURIA against Wildcard. Okay, Wildcard and OCE in general have not been good this season. Do I think that's suddenly going to change? Not really. Will they get an upset at some point? A notable one? Maybe, but I don't think it's going to be against FURIA here. So I'm going to say 3-1 for FURIA. I'll give them a game. Why not? Falcons versus Team Secret. Team Secret. My problem with Team Secret is I've always given them the benefit of the doubt, regardless of them kind of being a choky team on LAN in the past. I've always said, okay, this is the time, and there has been times before where they actually, ended up playing up to my expectation or even beyond that. But that is a rare thing, and that's throughout history for Team Secret in South America, not just like this roster or the last one that was slightly different. It's been a long-standing thing really, for Team Secret, except for that one time they made top 4, which was pretty impressive. But yeah, am I going to finally give up on them this event? Well, I guess you'll find out later, but I'm certainly gonna have Falcons winning that one 3-1. I've been doing so many 3-1s in my predictions. I gotta put in more sweeps. Maybe I'll do one here. Dignitas 3-0 sweep over Virtus Pro. Virtus Pro, if you didn't know, are Luminosity from last split, so that same APAC team as before. Sphinx, Catalysm, and Sosa. Spacestation against Ultimates. Another very interesting series. Regionally, Ultimates have always lost against Spacestation early on in events. I mean, even later on, as well, to be honest, because Spacestation have been that good. Are Spacestation going to start off that way? I feel like this is an inevitable Game 5 for me. Ultimates were really good in the Swiss last time and in the playoffs. Are they going to be, a LAN team? I don't know, but I'm gonna go for Spacestation here. Spacestation have been so good regionally that they've really impressed, and really in that last one, especially that win over Ultimates in the grand final, I'm gonna say it carries over to the Swiss here. Vitality against TSM. Alright, I'm not impressed by OCE. 3-0 for me, so yeah, regardless of Vitality not being that good, the split. Genemates against FUT. I'm gonna say 3-0 here as well. Genemates looking pretty good. I don't think they're gonna win the major. I don't really think they have that upset potential, to be honest. But yeah, we'll see. Karmine Corp against Genemates. Like I said, I don't really see another miracle happening for Genemates like it did last time. I'm just gonna say flat out 3-0 here for Karmine Corp. NRG Vitality. Yeah, I'm gonna go NRG this time around. I'm gonna say Game 5 there, but yeah, I'm not impressed by Vitality this split, to be honest. NRG, I think they're a pretty good team. Yeah, I expect them to be right, up there for favorites for the event. So yeah, I'm gonna give that one to NRG naturally. FURIA versus Spacestation. Now this is a really fun one. This is a really fun matchup. Two very interesting teams to watch. Spacestation, a little bit like Moist, and there was another team, Team Liquid, where you get these new players and they all rise up together roughly throughout the same period, and they suddenly make it to the top. That's always a really nice story to see, like it did with Moist and Team Liquid, right? So now we got, the NA variation of this. Will they win against FURIA? I feel like this is, again, inevitable game 5 for me. Which way does it go? I'm gonna say this is when it goes for FURIA. Alright, 3-2 for FURIA. Falcons, by the way, FURIA made top 4 last major, so there is, that going for them as well. They're a very hot team from South America. Falcons, Dignitas. I'm gonna say Dignitas. Dignitas have had an amazing split. Falcons, they have swept their region this split, but still, last major was not good for them. I know Dignitas' major was even worse, but they really showed their potential in that one, whereas Falcons, they did show, glimpses of what they were before. But I'm just afraid. I'm really fearful that they're on a little bit of a downtrend, and I don't really mean that they're gonna be far off the top. It's just gonna be not quite the top. It's gonna be right below that, is what I'm fearing here. Which is a little bit of a hot take. I know a lot of people are gonna have Falcons winning this event, not as the favorite, but maybe third favorite maybe. But I don't know. I guess not for me. But I'd love to see them prove me wrong, to be honest. But yeah, last major, I wasn't really impressed by them. Dignitas, they showed a higher peak to me personally. But might be a bit of a hot take. I am technically biased because Dignitas is my favorite team right now. So yeah, just the Mines against FUT. I'm gonna hop in a little 3-0 there. Genji versus TSM. I'm just gonna hop in another 3-0. Wildcard Ultimates. Yeah, I'm gonna say 3-1 there for the Ultimates against OCE. Like I said, not impressed by them this split whatsoever. Team Secret versus Virtus Pro. Okay, this is very winnable for Team Secret and for Virtus Pro. This is gonna be a really exciting series. Is this gonna be the moment when Team Secret, put themselves slightly higher than what they did last split? I think so. Last split they really did not look good, but they've been so consistent in South America. Surely they at least, they're good enough to beat Virtus Pro. Virtus Pro are not a terrible team, by the way. They're a good team, but still, I don't know. That one's tough though. I'm not gonna lie. That's by no means that's a 50-50 series in my book. So yeah. Karmine Corp against Dignitas. I'm gonna say Karmine Corp win that one 3-1. NRG versus FURIA. Again, I'm gonna say NRG win that one. Let's say 3-1 there against the South American Giants. Falcons Ultimates. Yeah. This is another series that Falcons lost last time around, I think. So, Ultimates, I imagine, will be fairly confident. I'm gonna still say Game 5 victory here for Falcons. Just because last time, I believe it was a close series, so I'm just gonna, do the flip side of that. That tends to happen quite often in Rocket League, where last time it was close, so I went one way, the next time it'll go close, but the other way around. So, definitely a fair possibility of that happening, so I'm predicting that. Spacestation Secret. Although I like to think Secret are gonna play better than last major, I don't think they'll be good enough to quite take down a Spacestation Gaming, to be honest. So I'm gonna say 3-1 there. Vitality against Genji. Ooh, Genji on the up, Vitality on the down. A very interesting one. I'm gonna say Genji win that. Maybe that's a hot take. It probably is a hot take. But yeah, last time I was quite high on Vitality, but they really disappointed me in the playoffs. People didn't, pros saying that they weren't that good. Or their peak isn't really that good, and their floor is just that high. That means that if other teams start peaking, that they're basically, you know, set for disaster. Gen G, I don't know why. I feel like they're just gonna play really well this event. Magic Bear has been incredible last split. Justin, you know, back to the top. I'm sure he'll be excited. I don't think he's gonna be that nervous. I think he's gonna have, you know, good nerves rather than, you know, nerves where it really takes you down. Vitality on the other hand, I think they're gonna struggle more. So with the pressure. Genemates versus Twisted Minds, that's a really tough one. That's a really tough one. Yeah. Twisted Minds, they just came off a 3-0 win against Foot, but that might not be the best warm-up. Genemates, they lost against Karmine Corp. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna say Twisted Minds win that one in Game 5. I think that's a really close one, but, you know, Rise is gonna have the Game 5 overtime goal, you know, to decide that one. Wild card against FUT. FUT is really not that bad, so this is definitely a winnable, you know, matchup for wild card. I think this might go Game 5. I'm gonna say Game 5 victory for wild card, but that's not an easy one whatsoever. So yeah, that's why I have it going to Game 5. Virtus Pro against TSM. Man, TSM, they're not gonna play against a giant like they did at Worlds under Pioneers and beat them. So they don't have, you know, it's not the same scenario. So I don't expect. You can't say if TSM win this is not, you know, upset to that degree. But I do think this would be an upset, to be honest. Still, are TSM gonna beat a team that's just like a bit better than them? They're not. They're gonna play into this. What I'm trying to say is that they're gonna play this series with a lot of pressure. It's not the idea of there's no pressure. The opponents are clearly expected to win. This is a tough match, and I think they're gonna lose out in Game 5. Virtus Pro to progress here in the Swiss stage. Let me make sure that you can see the entire bracket here. Okay. Now we have 2-1 round, FURIA versus Gen G. Yeah. How am I gonna predict this one? I have been clearly very high on Gen G. FURIA I'm very high on as well. In my eyes, they're kind of in a similar boat. Gen G probably expected to be slightly worse, but I don't think the margins are that big. Last major, Gen G were definitely in a shot of making top 8. That being said, FURIA themselves, they made top 4. But I think they probably looked the clear worst of the top 4, so there is that. Yeah, that's a tough one. FURIA, what have they just done? They've lost against NRG. Okay, I'm just gonna do it again. You know what? It's gonna be a 1-3 win for Gen G. Gen G all the way. I think I'm totally displaying some popium for NA here. I don't know why. NA they just give me incredibly good vibes right now. I just think they're gonna pop off so hard at the major. I'm really excited to see what happens. Maybe this has all been an illusion, and I'm just in my own world where NA is so much better than what they are in reality. I'm just overblowing their improvement. But, you know, we'll see. Dignitas against Twisted Minds. I'm gonna have Dignitas here. I'm gonna say 3-1. Falcons Spacestation. That's a good series. That's a really good series, actually. Spacestation, the young guns playing against a team that, you know, are pretty young themselves, to be fair. And they play such an aggressive style, typical of you know, younger players as well. That should be a really exciting one. A really exciting one. I don't think Spacestation can win against this. I flipped this the wrong way. I'm gonna say Falcons win that one 3-1. I think, yeah. They're gonna play a style the Spacestation aren't used to. Falcons, they themselves probably aren't gonna be that used to Spacestation, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just because of the land difference. Though, I don't know. That could go either way, to be honest, because I'm not sure, you know, Falcons know what to expect from Spacestation, or are used to playing teams that play like them. But I guess I just think they have better players. That's just like the minor difference there. So, alright. Anyways, let's move on. Don't need to dwell on that series. Vitality against Virtus Pro. I'm still gonna have Vitality winning against Virtus Pro. Okay, calm down, guys. Calm down. I'm gonna say 3-0 as well. Genamates versus Wildcard. I mean, Wildcard can win this, but I'm still gonna have Genamates winning that one. Team Suka and against the Ultimates. That could be an upset where Ultimates just go out 1-3, which would be very interesting compared to last play. I'm gonna say that doesn't happen, but I'm gonna say it almost does. So there's gonna be a big scare there for the Ultimates in round 4 here. Then final round to make top 8 or to get knocked out. And as you can see, this is absolutely stacked. Some of these teams are gonna have to, you know, miss out on top 8, which is absolutely insane. Really speaks to how good some of the teams are this major. You know, OCE slightly upsetting. If Wildcard was more impressive this season, then suddenly, you know, you'd have maybe, you know, the guaranteed, you know, most stacked LAN event of all time, and maybe this already is. I don't know, but yeah, we're just missing out on a big OCE team. That's all. FURIA against Ultimates. That's a tough one. That is a tough one. Oh, I've done something to the graphic. There we go. I'm still gonna say FURIA win that, to be honest. Yeah. Ultimates are a good team, but I feel like they'll just overperform last time. Not to say that they can't do that ever again, and they show glimpses of it, you know, against NRG tends to be the case, but I don't know. I feel like last time was just a bit of a one-off. So, yeah, there we go. Twisted Minds against Vitality. I'm tempted to go Vitality here, but I have been pretty low on them, and I'm pretty sure I've made Vitality lose against a similar level team to Twisted Minds. Okay, I'm gonna still say Vitality make top 8. They still make top 8, but it's gonna be 3-0 actually. It's gonna be convincing victory. Why not? I need to do 3-0s. I need to remind myself 3-0s. We're gonna finish it off with a 3-0 as well for Spacestation. Absolute demolition of Genamates. So yeah, there you go. Here's our Swiss bracket. And then let's go over to the main event. Alright, main event time. Playoff time, rather. Upper quarterfinals, NRG against Gen G. This time, I'm gonna say it's gonna be a 4-2 victory for NRG. Gen G have won against NRG before, regionally, but ended up, you know, losing to NRG more often than not still. For me, NRG is still the best team in North America. Okay, Karmine Corp against Dignitas. I'm gonna say Karmine Corp win that one again. I'm gonna say 4-1. Then Falcons Vitality. Wow. You know, I really think this is such a bad series for Falcons to play, to be honest. I think it's the worst matchup for them in this specific round as well. If it was the upper bracket, I would think differently. I think Falcons maybe struggle less under an upper bracket scenario, with less pressure to them. With the added pressure, their style is all the more likely to mess up. Whereas with Vitality, I think this is their playground. I'm gonna just straight up say 4-0. For some reason I can't just type a 0 here. Okay, there we go. 4-0 Vitality. There we go. That's definitely a hot take. I'm gonna have Vitality 4-0ing Falcons. The Falcons not even making top 6. Damn, crazy. Yeah, especially considering how high I was on Falcons last season. I've made such a turnaround on that now this season. I really hope they prove me wrong, because yeah, they were exciting to watch. FURIA against Spacestation. FURIA against Spacestation. Okay. That's a tough one. Spacestation they've been really exciting. They really have been. And the thing is that their new addition, Kofi, I think he might honestly be their best player, which really speaks to how good that team is now. Especially because last split they probably slightly underperformed based on, you know, based on the ceiling they displayed. They seem to be much more consistent this split after the added experience, after Kofi joining the team, adding his dynamic. FURIA, they have lost the regional to Team Secret this split. Adds a little bit of worry. They did make top 4 last time around at the majors, so this is I feel like I'm just in an impossible situation here. I feel like it just could go either way. I really don't know what to think about this one. I'm gonna say FURIA. FURIA game 7. Reason is just the experience. I think there is a thing where people don't get as nervous nowadays probably compared to the old rookies maybe, but I mean, yeah, rookies they haven't been that, you know, much more nervous, or they haven't really played that bad in the past, to be honest. I think it's just kind of some of them do, some of them don't, and a lot of these big teams that just rise up, they tend to play fairly well under the pressure with one-off series where they don't. But yeah, I think it'll just be a slight diff. It'll just be that little bit of diff that puts FURIA ahead with their added experience. Gen.G Vitality, ooh, a rematch here. I don't know why. I feel like if Gen.G and Vitality rematch, it's just going to go the opposite way. I'm gonna say 4-2 honestly for Vitality. I've gone from thinking Vitality aren't gonna make top 8 for a second to now they're in the top 4. I guess that's just what happens. Dignitas, FURIA. Yep. Call me biased. I don't care. I think Dignitas have looked that good. 4-3 against FURIA. And then in the semifinals, Vitality versus Karmine Corp. I think they've got a chance, but I'm still gonna say 4-2 for Karmine Corp still. And then Energy versus Dignitas. I think Energy are slightly the better team here. I'm gonna say it's gonna be 4-2 as well. Why not? And then for the grand final, I always do this for every single grand final, and I'm going to do it again. I'm gonna say it's a 4-3 victory for Karmine Corp. There we go. That's my prediction. And then maybe with Karmine Corp winning this, do they have a curse for the World Championship? Let me know what you think. With Karmine Corp winning both majors, we've never seen a team win both majors and then, or 2 majors at all. I think has any team won 2 majors in the same split? I don't think they have. So it would be interesting to see if a team, you know, wins both majors and then, you know, plays at the World Championship and loses. But yeah, well, that'll be exciting to watch. But yeah, Energy and Karmine Corp for me are the top 2 teams in the world right now. And yeah, there's I guess the 1v1 prediction as well. Napo versus Diaz. I am going to say Diaz wins that in a game 6. Alright, Diaz, there you go. That's for you. And that would mean that Geeke get the automatic qualification for the World Championship ahead of Gentlemates as well. And yeah, there we go. Those are my predictions. Yeah, a bit of a long one. How long was that? That was 24 minutes. But yeah, those are my predictions. Thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe as usual, and I'll see you later.